for Ep.3 of On the Button, where we talk about all things poker. My name is Matt V, and today I'm joined by a couple of guys attempting to make poker fun again.
It would be way better or worse if there was some brown liquor back there. But
well, you know what?
I don't care.
We can have Joe run and get us something. I mean, listen, I specifically brought you guys here because you guys are the make poker fun again guys here in Vegas. That's at least the rumor. I had to jump in your game, which I have a couple of times. And yet we're doing a podcast. I've got a beer. Art's got a beer. And Justin has an Aquapana.
Yeah, well, I'm a fancy boy. Oh, well, okay. I know this is going to sound like a easy feat for most humans, but I decided to limit myself to 2 beers a week for 5 weeks, starting in the new year. And even though that sounds incredibly easy, it's tough to go from 6 or 7 beers a day down to 2 a week. So either way, if anyone catches me, whoever catches me gets $10,000.
Just a stone free roll?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Like no bets. I get nothing from it outside of just happiness and some weight loss. But so, not only that, I have to give my wife $10,000 as well. So if she catches me, she just gets the 10. If Art catches me, he gets 10. My wife gets 10. So
I'm sorry, Morgan. I almost caught him this morning.
There was 3 beers in the studio fridge here, and I was cracking one, Valeo was cracking one, and Justin was cracking one.
I had one in my hand with a beer opener in the other hand. And Art stopped
and Art, who's on a $10,000 free roll, stops him.
Yeah.
Well, there was only 3 beers, guys. And
So are we calling that Corona in the fridge a $10,000 beer that you just?
It is for me now. Jeez. I just feel like I won a lot of money. I need to go play some video poker.
Yeah,
I'm free rolling.
It's for Art. He basically just told us that he'd rather pay $10K than to lose an option on that third beer.
Well, I didn't know that you could.
Yeah, I was just saying, he would have just got space dust and collected $10,000 if he would have known that. But no, I might send Joe out there to find some a little handle of something brown. I don't know. Otherwise, I don't know how entertaining I'm going to be.
I mean, listen, Joe's ready to go.
Well, look at him. Yeah.
Hop to it, Joe. Or not.
He gets here first. He coordinates things. Like I don't even know if any of this happens without Joe.
Yeah. As soon as one of my jokes don't land, I'm just going to look at him, and then he'll have to go.
You know what to do.
If there's an awkward silence in the room.
But yeah, no, table has been great. We started.
Let's step back a little bit.
I'd love to.
For those that don't know what Table 1 is,
They don't exist. They all know, right?
Everyone
you guys
knows.
know who Table 1 is.
Tell us who Table 1 is.
You let it rip. Tell them how we're making poker.
No, so Art and I started our own private game at Aria. They've treated us great, and our goal was to basically have a private game, which is inherently supposed to be a fun game, but like even past like what your traditional like private games are in Vegas for the most part, we just want to go a step further and like just make sure the experience is the primary thing. Like Art's reasonably okay at poker, but I love playing next to Art, even if he beats me out of 60% of pots, because he's fun to play with, and I want to come back to play with Art, and that's kind of our goal. Like, I mean, our games are going to be soft and fun at the same time, but in the meantime, between folding hands and bluffing, then you get to bullshit with a lot of personalities, and that's kind of where we are.
I love that. I feel like poker is moving in the direction of, like, I think back 20 years, and when I saw over 20 years now since Moneymaker won, but that's what like ignited the poker boom, right? And back then it was personalities. That's how they put it on ESPN, is you had tons of different personalities that were of varying interest levels and situational kind of things going on. But there was a lot going on, but it was all like personality driven, and I think that's what made poker very interesting, is you had like this eclectic group of people from all over the world getting together and playing this strategic game. And sure, you had like the very serious types, your IVs and whoever who maybe didn't talk very much and were more in the game theory and stuff like that. But I feel like everything's moving towards, at least in the last 5, 7, or 8 years, is like everyone's moving towards GTO, and you're just seeing it in the tables. You walk into these poker rooms and you hear the shuffling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I was asked earlier about this with the interview I actually did this morning, but like I think social media, or like the accessibility to like phones and like that being such a big part of people's lives has a lot to do with it as well, which I do think hurts the game. But I do think the information out there, the GTO standard, where like, whatever, if you're a CEO of a company and you're like, I'm smart enough, I want to get good at poker, you can get good at poker relatively quickly. Like there's so much information out there. It's not hard, but it does take some thought, which does kill some of the vibe, what you consider a good vibe for a poker game, which is, I think, why most people got into poker to start with, is because you're sitting around with your buddies, sitting down with like strangers, and everyone's shooting the shit for 4 to 6 hours and hanging out.
Absolutely, yeah.
Golf for
Yeah, that's right.
Well, not to like do a plug or whatever, but like I think one of the concepts around Phenom Poker, which you're an ambassador of, and Table One, is an affiliate or promoter or whatever. One of the core concepts is like, I believe poker is a human versus human experience, and it's a social experience. And if you remove those elements, poker is like really not that great, right? Like it's if poker becomes like, a bot versus a human, or a bot versus bot, or even like humans that act like bots and just sit there and be like, can I just act in tune with this solver? Like, that's really not that interesting. I don't think, at least.
No, yeah. Well, you just made me think of, like, we had Brian Micon on the podcast. I don't know. I'm sure you know him. And he came in.
He's the shout out to the godfather of crypto poker.
No fucking kidding.
Godfather of crypto poker, Brian Micon. Shout out to you. I'm sure you're watching. But he came on and he said, what if aliens came down and they looked at us and we're just, they're moving these same 52 cards around, and this one means something else, and this one means something different, and here comes some chips, and now I get the plastic, and now you get the plastic.
But like, we're all going nuts over every card or whatever. Oh my God, I can't believe the Queen of Spades. How could you believe the Queen of Spades hit that river? That's amazing.
That's one of the 52 cards.
Like, I mean, we do it. I mean, obviously you have to get emotionally involved to like show you some of those emotions, but like, I think Art got in a spot where like he said somebody. And then, like, on one of the road notes, they hit quads on the turn, and like the entire table just erupts and goes nuts, as they should. Like, it's a 1-outer, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Then Art hits his 1-outer on the river to make quads over quads, and we're all losing our minds.
Was this recent?
That happened like a week ago.
Oh my God!
Yeah, we were all in queens versus tens on Queen 10-9, and we ran it twice. The first board I just held, and then the second board 10, and everyone's just like and then I'm just like getting ready to take my money back, and here comes the queen.
Ooh.
And like, I mean, it's to Mycon's point, it's crazy. If you didn't know anything about poker at all, and you just walked into that environment, you're just like, why are these people just yelling at the cards like this? There's only 52, right? They just don't. There's not made up cards in there that like that don't exist. But yeah, but like that's.
And then I was just gonna say, kind of to your point, like the more we're dumbing down the emotional reaction to poker, and it's like bot versus bot. Like, we've all played enough poker hands now to where like we could just not react to this. I mean, maybe that's an extreme, but like you see it on TV and like a crazy beat happens, and like a Triton or like a whatever, some super high roller, and the guy's just like, he's just like, once the beat is possible, they instantly like calculate the percentage chance of it coming out, and then when it comes out, they're like, oh, I guess I make up now for this. For this beat that happened.
I knew it could happen. It was 5.7% chance, and
now I'm only
through.
thinking about the next hand now that I have 18 big blinds instead of 40. So I agree that adding emotion, kind of shoveling it back into poker, even if it's forced for some people to like just let your emotions out a little bit, whether it's steam or whether it's happiness. Go for it.
Yeah,
So if you're not
I agree.
being offensive to the dealer or the other players. Like,
Exactly. As long as you're being respectful to the people, you can yell at yourself, yell at the situation all you want to. But I do think there needs to be more yelling in poker. Just like.
Well, I don't want to bring up like a sore subject, but the other day we played in a game, and I think it was probably the first time I saw you get like pretty emotional during the game. I know we can go back a little further, and I saw you bust out of like the final table at WPT Prime, which I want to talk about a little bit later. But
is this a roast? What is going on right now?
Yeah, let's just bring up every bad moment in Justin's life. Yeah. But no, like I gotta say, it was actually, considering how horrific that spot was, I think it was very managed. But it's nice to see like emotion in the game.
No, and I agree, and like I'm sure we'll get into the hand that Matt's speaking to or whatever. But yeah, it's something, honestly, I try not to I've been working on not letting my emotions out when it comes to like negative emotions lately. But like, even when I used to, and Art can attest to this, like I would not get mad at someone. I wouldn't be like, I can't believe you played that hand. You're so terrible. Like that is hugely disrespectful. Would never do that.
Well, and it's also pretty stupid, right?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, for that part too. But to me, it's more about the respect part of it. Like, we're sitting down with our friends or soon to be friends or hopeful friends, and you can't treat people with any disrespect. That's not what poker's about, not what life's about, in all honesty. But
It's true. He's very self-deprecating.
yeah, but it's always just self-hatred for myself, and that comes with poker as well, or at least for me, or whatever. Like when you teeter on like trying to be good at an unsolvable like equation, and so you can never be correct all the time, and then you just start hating yourselves for the times that you are. And that's what happened. Whatever. I got flush over flush, but like I knew he had it. Like it was
nut flush over second nut flush.
And like but
in an unpaired board, like true nuts, second nuts.
And honestly, it's hard to know if he handled it well because there was a just-in size and shape hole in the wall. Afterwards, and like a little puff of steam where he used to, and he just disappeared for about 15 minutes.
That was pretty accurate. Actually.
I'll let everyone in, even the people at the table, what I actually went through or whatever. I made the hero call. I made the call I thought was wrong. There was a lot of chips, stacked chips, and like a large volume of chips. And then when I saw the hand, I literally shoved them forward to where it spread probably like 6 feet across the table. Immediately embarrassed. Like that was the first emotion I felt. It wasn't anger. I was just like, we worked on this.
My favorite thing about that moment is you count out the bet. It was like 21,500 or something. You take all your small chips and all the chips that you had basically, and you made it perfect. And you're like 21,500 confirmed. And then the dealer's like, yeah. He's like, and then the guy, he was sitting in like the 17th.
He got mid extension.
He just goes like this, and he goes,
that's exactly
what happened. Him across the table, and it went almost everywhere, but like kind of in a calculated thing. And then you look back and Justin,
and then appeared the Justin sized hole.
So yeah, I went to the bathroom because I don't know why that's just where I go. Just like it's something to do, and I got to the urinal and I didn't have to pee. I just stood there for a while. I was just like, "What are we doing here?" And like talked to myself at the urinal by myself for a while, and then I was like, "Okay, next step is always going to the bar." So I went to the bar. Remembered the beer bet. I couldn't drink beer, and I was just like, "What are we doing here? This is stupid too." And like,
do we need to check the cameras at Aria?
You can
for a potential 10K pickup.
Security, if you're there, and you have 10K possibly coming your way.
And then like I immediately got on my phone because I felt like a jerk, and like even though like I know everyone at the table knows it's not directed towards them, I texted Matt immediately. Matt, the guy that beat me in the pot.
Yeah.
And I was like, "I'm so sorry, dude. That was not cool of me. Please know it has nothing to do with you." And he texted back, "It's fine." And I texted Art the same thing, and I was just like, "I'm sorry." And at that point, it's just like self-deprecation, like embarrassment, like all that stuff. So that's why it took me like half an hour to get back.
Yeah,
like there was a percentage of me just being upset for making the wrong decision, but it was more the embarrassment part. But like, I don't know, I still don't mind that at the table. Like, I mean, Art can attest. Like, I'll rip up cards at the table, and that's not cool. But like, it's funny. Like, I know, like, gaming would hate that, but like, I've probably done it a good dozen times in my life, and like honestly, most people like find it hilarious. Like, because they know it's not towards them. It's just like,
it's better to take it out on a
also,
piece of plastic than it is another human, right?
It diffuses kind of the pain
the
because
tension,
like I was listening to something the other day and it was like stress and negative emotions are like a gas, right? Like if a room is empty and you release some amount of gas into it, no matter how the room looks, it's going to fill up the whole room. It's going to disperse equally and be in the whole room. And if you're feeling like shitty and you're like putting that out, it does the same thing to a poker game. All the people around feel the same thing that you're feeling, and it can't help but dilute like the happiness gas in the room. So that's I think it's good to just get it over with, make it like out there and known so there's no like tension moving.
Right, and like I'm sure, and I hope so anyway. That like after I ran through the glass door or whatever to get out for that hand, someone made a joke. I certainly hope so because I would definitely make a joke on the opposite end, and I should be made fun of. I mean, it's nothing wrong with that.
I don't think anyone made a joke.
Oh, okay.
We were all kind of like.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I hope it didn't last too long.
No. Like honestly, I mean the thing, and this goes back to like fun game, fun personalities. I think in a different setting, people might have been like, "What a douchebag," right, or whatever.
Sure, of course.
But because you guys are good hosts and you curate the game and you protect the game, like I think mostly just everyone just felt terrible for you. Even Matt, who's like obviously probably pretty happy to scoop, 50K pot or whatever it was.
60. But go ahead.
60, yeah. Yeah. Well, I had a similar, we'll get to that. The Justin Young experience, I like to call it.
Oh, what? When you put a bad beat on me 3 times in one day? You remember that? Yeah, that was fun.
That is the Valeo experience. That's a very different experience.
We'll get to that.
Get to ride the Justin experience. It doesn't
No.
happen that often.
No, well, like I like that. I actually like that we're in a setting where we can show a little bit of emotion and not be like in a hostile environment. Yeah. People like obviously you took, like it's a cooler situation. You lost a lot of money. But like everyone I think at the table is feeling the same thing. Not like, oh, what an asshole. We're just like, yeah. Understandable.
That's not me.
if anything, it was like way controlled, dude.
I think most of the people said anything. It was like it was a snap. It was like a snap.
Oh, dude.
Snap call.
Like, take my money, please.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like,
I would have lost the rest of it. Yeah.
I would have.
yeah. Where's where's the rest of the pot? Like, no, I think some of us felt some of that too. Is like, dude, if you were even considering folding that, because not to go into full poker theory or whatever, like his hands are basically nut flush or bluffing with the ace of hearts, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's never a 10 high flush.
But he has to have some bluffs. Yeah. Unless he, if he doesn't, then you're terrible. And why did you give him all the money? But he's a good enough and competent enough player that he has to have bluffs, and and he's probably bluffing with the ace of hearts in his hand, which he happened to have in his hand. And if he has some kind of balance, like you're gonna lose some and you're gonna win some, but you're probably always calling, right? Or mostly always calling.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's just a math problem. Okay, how often is he turning his ace of hearts here and just going for it with that sizing, and then then it's just like, okay, the pot odds are this and this and this, and like, but like, believe me, that's not what I was thinking about at all. Like, I'm just gonna be clear. It's just like
you're just like he had it, but I'm gonna pay it anyway.
Fucking Matt.
Speaking of feeling, Matt yesterday or Sunday when we were playing, he said, I'm not gonna lie, like that is the best feeling in poker when you're sitting there with the nuts on the river with the big ass bet out there, and the guy's saying, "Oh, sorry if this is a nit roll."
Yeah.
Like, oh,
he's like, sorry guys, I'm probably calling, but like, and he's just sitting there like, well, that's good for me.
How do I look nervous?
I'm probably happy.
Oh no.
Yeah. Let me do my best nervous face. Oh man. No, I had a similar feeling in a different session, probably a week prior or whatever, in hand against you.
Yep.
And I've been playing over 20 years. I played a lot of online, which I think numbs you to a lot of the emotions because you just see so many hands and so many situations. So you see like quads and you see all the insanity, and you just kind of get numb to coolers and stuff like that. But the thing I like about live poker is it's a little bit more visceral. Like you have more time and you have more elements, and you have a lot more personalities and things like that. So I played a hand against you. I don't know if you want to bring up the hand.
No,
details.
I'd like to look like the hero in one of these stories. So yeah, sure, let's go for it.
Yeah. So I have kings. I think you open button or late position to 300. I 3-bet kings to 1150, and you say out of spite I'm calling.
I mean,
turns out there was some truth to that.
It's not like spite towards Matt or anything like that. It's just like I open a lot of a wide array of hands. So
My notes on Justin are infinite range.
So when people 3-bet me, and I feel like people, and rightfully so, they should. They over 3-bet me specifically because my range is so wide. I'm just like, I gotta fuck these people up, they can't just 3-bet me with any time they get kings, It's, granted, kings is a good one, but people feel comfortable like raising the ace 10 for value and stuff like that, knowing I'm usually gonna have way worse than that, or the king jacks and stuff like that. So like. In order to make those,
did Joe actually go out? And...
Oh, he did. No, he has a beard.
I have something for you too.
Oh, I bet you get. I don't know. Might get the dust.
Joe has come through.
I think Joe filled that thing with beer, and he's about to collect 10,000.
Shit.
And he had them seal it, hermetically seal.
We're good.
Okay.
All right.
So basically, you can't take no shit. Must call.
Correct. I felt like I was getting, again, not by you specifically, but like just throughout the table, I was getting shit on a bit, and rightfully so. It was like someone that opens a lot or too much. Like you need to get 3-bet, and like I need to adjust by either like tighten up or 4-bet more. But like my solution to it is not the correct one. It's just to call everything and just hope I ruin someone's day. And unfortunately for you anyway, that was you, because it came a beautiful Jack 10-5.
Did you say what you had yet?
I think he said Jack 5.
Not yet. I haven't said it
Oh,
yet.
sorry. I could have anything.
Well, so it's like Jack 10-5, and then it came. It was like
Was it a flush board on? I don't think it was.
Flush draw.
no,
Flush draw. Okay,
all the draws all missed,
Yeah.
and it was like a blank 4 river.
Oh yeah, it came out beautiful for me. It was like Jack 10-5, 7 deuce or something like that.
Yeah, something around those lines. And I was sitting there, and I bet 1K flop, you raised to 3K. I check call 5K turn, and then I check you bet 12.5K river.
God, I'm so good at it.
And yeah, like I ran it through at the time. I wish I had thought about it more, because I know you're competent enough where you probably had narrowed my range down to like queens plus at that point. Especially with your sizing. Your sizing was like designed to get called by queens plus. And I know that you're good enough to probably not be bluffing that often against queens plus expecting a fold. Like, you're going to expect that hand to call. So if I had sat on it longer, I probably would have made the fold. But in the moment, I just thought it's Jack 10 or nothing. It's 2 pair or nothing. The sets don't like to raise flop. Like, if the 7 might have been a turn. If that's the case, then like 8-9 obviously is there, gets there sometimes. Probably also doesn't raise flop a lot, but is there. So once I started like going through it, I was like, it's Jack 10 or nothing. I call. He has Jack 5. He had Jack 5. Everybody. So I lose a 40K pot, and I immediately I started racking up. I was not, and some people might have thought it was because like, oh, I lost with kings. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with the fact that I didn't take long enough to like, he had 2 pair. And after simmering on it for just like maybe a minute, I realized like he just kind of always has 2 pair. And so
Yeah, and like I'm probably weighted a little bit heavier towards that, especially given our limited like playing experience before that hand.
Yeah.
But at the same point, like, even though I know the 7 gets 8-9 there, but I think the 7 allows me to bluff the only hands I can really bluff there, like my 10-9s, my 10-8s, my Jack 9s, Jack 8, stuff like that. Like stuff I'm maybe check raising for some like, pot control, and then like once I hit the 7, it's just like, well.
But if you put me on queens, you're not a queens plus. You're not expecting me to fold it for 12K at the end. That's the problem.
I'm going to check raise with a wider amount, and
Right.
then like given whatever the turn is, then I kind of reassess. Then it's just like, but if I'm sitting there with 10-8, 10-9, Jack 9, like some stuff where I have an 8 or 9 in my hand and some equity, like I'm still going for it. Like, I mean,
Sometimes.
yeah, and like, and to your point, like I'm probably doing that in turn, but on the river, I might be shutting it down a little bit more often against someone I haven't played as much against.
Well, and then I've noticed that about your game is that you do get in there and mix it up a lot. You're a very tricky player in that, like, you're not playing GTO strategy. Like, you're playing a very wide opening and defending range. And I would say you're a field player, because I see situations where you go for it, where it looks like you can reasonably expect a fold. Sometimes you get hero called and you got to show nothing, whatever. But other times I see you shut it down in situations where other players might just go for it. Mathematically, maybe you're supposed to be going for it with those blockers, but you know that player's not fucking folding, right? Yeah. And you're not going for it. And so I've seen that from you enough where I should have made the fold. And so I was instantly mad at myself. And because for me, I'm so competitive that I'm actually embarrassed in spots like I'm embarrassed because in my mind I'm like, that's so bad, like so bad to call, where the average person might be like, well, you got kings and you lost, you got cooler, like whatever. Like for me, I'm just like, I'm so bad. If I just would have thought about it more. And so like once I cooled down a little bit, I ended up playing longer.
You'll rack and unrack.
He did.
I did not unrack, but I did play longer.
He basically had what he bought in for, like kind of separated, and he had his fuck around chips. Like that's what it looked like anyway.
No. Actually, the Art already had the buy-in back.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah, it was all profits.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, you still crushed.
Yeah, he went
Dear
south.
God.
Which
Yeah.
is not allowed.
I mean, it's pretty brutal. I lost a 40K pot, and then I only won 41K in that day.
Jesus. Thank God.
Yeah, so like, shame on Justin.
Yeah, but I mean, this kind of brings it back to like, you don't want to have everyone play perfect GTO and stuff like that because it reduces poker, which is a wonderful game, to chess, which I love chess as well. But like,
Yeah.
you know, if it's solvable, then like
Chess isn't that fun to watch.
yeah, I mean, well, not only that, like I'm not going to gamble against someone in chess because if they want to gamble against me, that means they're probably better than me.
Yeah.
And like
And there's no variance in chess.
exactly. Like I mean, yeah, like I might beat someone slightly better than me 1 out of 5 times, 1 out of 6 times,
Yeah.
something like that. But like, yeah, like we're not doing that. Like if I offered to play Art in chess, he should say no. Like I'm not saying I'm way better than him, but like if I'm offering it, it's probably a bad bet for you. You know.
So if Art is inviting me to the Table 1 game every day,
well, I mean,
to your analogy here, what does that mean?
well, that's the thing. Is like it's not chess. Like that's why poker's great. It's like it's
Seriously, that is why. And another, just to harp on the GTO thing, is like it is exciting to watch like some of like the very very best. Like I love watching Patrick Leonard's Instagram stories. I don't know if you follow him on there, but he has quite a following. He even has like a Telegram channel where you can like subscribe to him for free, and he'll like do videos and stuff on his poker stuff. And he is like just super action. Like he's so studied that he like actually knows the right thing to do, when to bet like 12x the pot and like crazy shit like that. So his game, like it is fun to watch him. But most of the people who know like enough to crush our game, like they just play like pretty defensive and tight, and then when they have it, they just bet really big, and like they'll mix in a couple of bluffs against like the good players, but never against like the bad. But I don't know. It's just like until you're like super good at it, it's like pretty boring to watch you play. Is that like a good way to put it?
Yeah, sure.
Because like who did we have on that was talking about the European players, and they play like a lot more hands, a lot more aggressively. They fight for pots.
it's Arm.
Yeah, okay.
Soviet.
Yeah, because he's playing the high rollers. And yeah, anyway, they're more, I don't know if they're more studied or that's just the culture over there to fight for every pot, but that's more exciting in poker to play and to watch. Like,
Yeah.
And to Art's point, over like that's good. The goal of like Table 1, honestly, get like obviously we prefer worse players, but we're not discriminating. If you're decent at poker, but like you give a good show and like you talk to everyone, you're not on your phone the entire time, you're not tanking the river for 2 minutes, like those are the people we don't want in. Like we don't mind some good players coming in. We just want fun. Like that's literally it. Like obviously we want to make money. Like this is what we do. We can't rely on the Table 1 podcast money.
Actually,
I can't.
You're not rolling in Table 1 podcast though?
Actually, the overarching goal is, you know, to really be playing, for me anyway, to be playing poker just purely recreationally.
Sure. Yeah.
And so that
and we need you guys to subscribe also to the Table 1 podcast, not just the On the Button podcast.
Okay, this is the plug. Where do they find you?
Table1.vegas is the easiest place to go. That's our website. You can really find everything there. Our podcast episodes, we have like the highlights on there. We got links to actually come play in the game. You can go on there and fill out a form, and it goes right to me, and then I'll text you, and it's coordinated time to play.
Yeah, and for those that like to play 25, 50, 50, 100, 100, 100 kind of levels of no limit, it is a very fun game. You should definitely get in touch with Art, Justin, try out the game. It's a lot of fun. So again, for those that maybe aren't already familiar with Table 1, I want to go back even a little further, digging. I'm having fun with this because our last episode was Ben Heath, who I love, by the way, friend of mine. You know, we've hung out, we've talked about a lot of different things. But he's definitely on the other end of the spectrum, right?
Yeah, he's a GTO crusher. He's so good at poker. It's ridiculous.
He's GTO. He's playing the super high stakes only. He's studying specifically to beat those games. And you know, you guys are more on the other side of like let's keep poker fun and light and keep the emotions in. They're both still good at poker. But it's a different side of it. How did you guys meet? Like how did this all come to be?
I'll tackle it. We met. Let's see. You were already living out here.
just in case the other one's not picking me up, you were already living out here. I moved out here in May of 2008. So it was 2008. We packed up the wife, the two cats, the dog, my friend John, and my dad. We drove out here from Virginia. It was a 4-day nightmare, pretty much. I mean, the drive was fine. It was just we slept in the car instead of getting hotels to save money. And very last day in Albuquerque, we took a hotel, and it was like, God, we should have probably been doing this the whole time. But I came out, and met Justin within my first 6 months here. I think I played at the Bellagio with him a little bit, maybe in like the 10-20 open game or 5-10 even. And then we had a final table together where we had known each other a little bit. Like we weren't really friendly, but we just both happened to be at this final table of was it the Caesars event?
Yeah.
Okay, it was the Caesars 1500 back when they used to get like big numbers for their 1500s. Michael Phelps, fun fact, was at that final table.
Rest in peace, Caesars Poker.
Yes, rest in peace, Caesars Poker. They still have the poker room, but it's filled with slot machines now. And yeah, we were at the final table together. I asked him if he wanted to swap, I think, a couple percent. He said yes for some reason, just because he's nice, I guess. And yeah, I ended up winning the tournament. Owed him a couple $1,000 or something like that. And we just kind of built off of that. We started playing against each other more regularly in the 10-20 no limit at the Bellagio. And yeah, that's
I love it because
It's all you get.
It speaks to social poker being a social game, right? Like a lifelong friendship developed at the poker table, which is how a lot of the people that are involved, with this podcast, with Phenom Poker, just in general, like in my life, a lot of them can get traced right back to the poker table.
Yeah, and I got one more thing to say. Damn it.
Actually, no, I said this on our last podcast, and it's such a good like quote and framework for living that I felt like I should share it as often as I can. So it's I listened to this interview with Dharmesh Shah. He's the CTO of HubSpot and co-founder, and he has this great quote about life and like opening doors for yourself, and like if you look back, you can see like a pattern. Like I just explained how I met Justin, right? Like through basically a series of events and like how they came together. But that's a rear facing metric. Like you can only look backwards and see how it worked out for you. But for the dots to connect. So his advice is to just be a dot collector. Just open as many doors as you can with people, network with as many people as you can, form real friendships with people. And that way, like you have this kind of array of dots that like you give yourself way more chance of success in the future because X, Y, and Z, you know so many more people, or you did so many favors for so many people, just out of the pure reason to be opening those doors for yourself and like helping people. And that's all I got to say about that.
Right when
Take
you
that back.
Right when you think Art is just like a jolly, fun, aw shucks guy, then comes the tech CEO quotes and metaphors and.
Well, the best stuff is stolen, right?
Yeah.
But now that's my framework.
HubSpot was not the first cloud-based CRM software, so.
But Art actually did a podcast on this. Like we had a down week where we had a guest fall through, I think. So Art and I was out of town, and he was by himself to like come up with the podcast for that week. And it's a short one. I think it's like 15, 20 minutes. I do suggest everyone goes back and watch it, but it's about the varying degrees of luck. And like it sounds kind of simple on the surface or whatever, but like the more you go down the rabbit hole, it's to his point. It's about opening doors and like expose yourself to luck. And like inevitably, you're gonna not just get lucky because you hit the queen on the river. You're gonna get lucky because we became friends, and in 5 years or whatever, like very specifically, like you got me a dinner reservation on my birthday. I couldn't get dinner reservation, and like just because we were two humans that were talking friendly to each other, and I mentioned that I wanted to go out to eat. Boom! I got incredibly lucky, and now I have reservations for 6 because of you.
Probably listening into a conversation I wasn't invited to.
But no, like it's that kind of thing. And like honestly, poker is that a perfect avenue to collect dots. In all honesty, because like you're sitting next to someone who's whatever making a shot that normally plays 2-5. You're sitting next to a CEO of a company. You're sitting next to a guy that sold his company 20 years ago for $100 million, and like you can't tell any of that stuff, and you have to sit there and talk to him.
Yeah.
And like all of a sudden, it's like, oh, you're a Bronco fan too, or like you like football. I happen to have a box at Raider Stadium. Why don't you just come join us?
Yeah.
Which has happened to us numerous times. Like it's amazing. Like
Poker's
the life experiences that you get just by being openly and truly nice to someone, and then not taking advantage, but like do them a favor, they do you a favor, and like actually make real friendships.
Yeah, poker is the great connector and the great equalizer. References I always make. I do want to touch on one thing that you said that didn't You're like, we drove from Virginia. We were sleeping in the car to save money. And then I was in the 1020 no limit at Bellagio. Like, because I remember when I was
Bankroll
traveling.
management is not my specialty.
I remember when I was traveling to Vegas on no money, which happened, often when I was younger. Like I was coming to stay at the Sahara, $39 a night, and play at Harrah's like 1-3 or 1. I think it might have even been 1-2 back then. And I was like one buy-in deep in my pocket when I drove all the way to Vegas just so I could have one buy-in for 1-2 live poker. Not 1020 at Bellagio. Let's talk about that.
Okay. I mean, I'll tell you, I moved to Vegas. I'll rewind even a little bit further. On my honeymoon with my wife, we got married in September of 2007. And then, like I said, we moved to Vegas in May of 2008. On our honeymoon,
Maybe not the greatest decision of your wife at the time.
But on our honeymoon, I was like, what do you think of Vegas? Because I was playing online poker, online tournaments and stuff like that at the time. Not doing like amazing, but like amazing for a kid out of high school, So
Yeah.
we were 20 when we got married. So
Calculates. Okay, good.
processing. So anyway, I asked her about Vegas, like, what do you think? And she was like, no, not in a million years. Like, well, we're never moving to Vegas. Like, we live out here in Virginia. My family's here. Everything's here. And then one day in April, I win a package to go play an EPT in San Remo, the south of France or the north of Italy, whatever you want to call it, near Monte Carlo. And, obviously we go together because she had never been to Europe. And we have a great week. I cash small in the tournament. I make friends with Jason Mercier, get a little 2% swappy in with a guy also that I didn't know, but just because I was talking to him, it's like, oh, you're American, I'm American. Sure, we'll swap. And then he won the tournament for those wondering, and I doubled my cash basically. I cashed for $20K and he gave me $20K. So that was great. We came back home. We came back home like mid-April. No plans to move to Vegas.
Always swap with Art.
That is a good tip. And we come back to we come back to Virginia, and no plans of moving. Living in my dad's house still that he's kind of like leasing to me or like letting me live there for basically free. And I'm like, how about now? Vegas, we got $40K in the bank from this tournament score. And she like thought about it for a second and was like, all right, why not? So I capitalized on that momentum. I hopped on the computer. I got a lease for a place. Call it the fringe of Summerlin, Charleston and Cimarron for those in the know.
Oh,
and I signed a 1-year lease over the phone or whatever, however you did it back then, sight unseen. I had never been to Vegas in my life. She ironically was
goodness, you've never actually been to Vegas?
No, she ironically was born here, but like moved when she was 3.
Okay, at least one of you had been to Vegas.
And yeah, no, we just right after that, I had a friend that I played a home game with that actually got me a hookup on the rental truck to get a Penske out here, and yeah, just cruised out here, and I was playing a little bit of 5-10 when we first moved here, and I don't know, 10-20 only twice as big. Seems like a good idea.
It's just double, yeah.
Actually, even funny story about the first time we got here. The day that we got here, my friend John was also a poker player. We wanted to go to the Rio because it's the first day of the WSOP series, June 1st, whatever. That's when we got here.
Okay.
And so we say, okay, we're gonna go check out the Rio, see what's going on with the WSOP. And my wife's like, cool, yeah, obviously go. We go down there. We know nothing about Vegas. We just go in and we look for the poker room. Closest I had been is Borgata, where they have, regular poker rooms. So we go to the Rio. If anyone has ever been in the Rio, their poker room is about 8 tables, very small. Smaller than this. Yeah, seriously, it's very small. And we're like, all right, well, I guess this is it.
Oh, you didn't go to the convention center?
No, we just sit down and we play 2-5. It's a great game. But I'm like, man, I thought there would be more.
You thought you were like in the World Series of Poker?
I thought I was in the World Series of Poker. 8 fucking tables and me and my buddy. And we play for like 4 or 5 hours.
Were you taking videos for your wife? Like, I'm at the World Series, baby.
This is pre like cell phone video sending. We played for 4 or 5 hours. I drove back. I'm like, all right, well,
That's not what I thought it
Yeah,
would
not
be.
really. And then I got online and checked like a poker forum later. And I was like, oh, you gotta go a little further. They have these big convention centers, as it turns out, and
Okay.
hundreds of tables.
One last question on this topic. You have $40,000 in the bank, and your wife lets you get away with not buying hotels on the drive from Virginia to Vegas.
I don't know, man. We were young, and you can only do that stuff when you're young. Like now, I couldn't. It's like backpacking through Europe, you know? Like people say I'll do it when I'm older or whatever, but when you're like 17, 18, 19 years old, like it doesn't seem weird to sleep on the floor, you know, or it doesn't seem weird to sleep on the third bunk of a top bunk. And I don't know. It's just there's some stuff you can do when you're 20 that you just can't do once you're over 30 or once you've tasted any kind of luxury. Yeah. I mean, you just spoil yourself, and it's just
Okay. I like it.
yeah. Plus, we had the cats, you know, and the dog, and we're just like, what are we gonna do? Find out these cats can go in there with their litter box? Are we just gonna sneak these? I mean, even the hotel we stayed at in Albuquerque was a fucking dump of a motel. We're just like carrying our cats in this little thing, trying to let them out. They don't even come out of the litter box. Like we have one of those little dog carriers.
You're like, I'm good in here. I'm good in here.
Yeah, pretty much. They were not happy. They did not enjoy the trip at all. All right,
That's awesome.
your turn.
I just want to say the lice were bigger than your cats and dogs and all the bed bugs and stuff. But yeah, but our friendship really continued. Not just to push this down a little bit further. Art found a backing deal for tournaments shortly after that, and he accidentally made a final table at the World Series main event, or not the main event. Sorry, it was a side event where he thought it was a different event he was signing up for. Yeah, it was like a 3K, like 6 max, but it was a limit hold'em one, and somehow he still made the final table. And he made enough money to clear his makeup, and I wouldn't say expressed like unsatisfaction, but he didn't want to be backed by this person anymore. He wanted to be backed by a friend. And like maybe 6 months prior, like I hit for a big tournament that was. I mean, I had pieces sold out or whatever, but it was basically 7 figures.
Oh,
Yeah, it was right after like almost quitting poker and moving back. But that's a whole another story. Whatever. So like I have this newfound bankroll. I buy a house, and like I've heard about people backing people, and I was like, this sounds like a lot of fun. Like I know Art pretty well.
So
like
can others.
like I played with him in one tournament, and he won that one, and he just final tabled a limit 6 max. Like this guy's fucking a genius, and he wants to be backed. Like what could go wrong? And like so basically we had a handshake deal. Like he got out of his backing deal, and I was just like, I'm in. Like so I backed him online and live tournaments for. Well, it's still partially going on now, in all honesty. But
We had a tournament deal, and I kind of stopped playing tournaments. I think this thing works, right?
new rule: leave the mic in the middle.
but that's kind of how the friendship grew, because like whatever, there was some ups and some downs throughout there. Like Art's still in makeup. I just want to make sure everyone in the world knows that.
As makeup grew, so did the friendship.
But like I don't even know if we've ever got to a settling point once. But whatever. This isn't me just complaining. Like
This a roast?
But like honestly, like it was nice to actually not only meet someone that was good at poker that you found funny, but like someone that I 100% trusted. It was just nice to like every conversation was easy. There was no like, usually with backing deals, there's like, oh, did he actually play? Did he sell 120% of them? Like whatever. Like, you hear all these horror stories, and it was nice. Everyone's complaining about that. I was like, I don't know. Outside of the winning part, like I love my backing deal, or like I love backing like Art a lot. This is so easy. But no, I mean he
Swap with Art, don't back him.
Oh, all right. I'll help out a little bit. Like he made a deep run in the main event, which was like a huge like sweat. Like I think he got like 40th or something like that, which is like really close to like real money and stuff like that. And
like you almost made money.
I think internally I was just afraid of clearing makeup, and then you might not back me anymore. We can be friends. That's why I busted guys, not because I had queens and some guy beat me with ace.
Oh man, that reminds me of the story that Chino was telling the other day.
Which one? He has so
He
many.
has a lot of stories.
The last session I played, he was laughing hysterically, talking about when he had sold more than 100% himself.
Oh my god, yeah,
dude,
that's a story I've never heard before.
That was a wild story. Come on.
I think I was too drunk to remember what
No,
you
I mean, Chino
He was like
unprovoked almost. I mean, I think we were talking about something.
Nobody asked him about that.
And he was he just started dying hysterically, and we're just like, what's going on? He's like, I actually sold way over 100% for a tournament one time in cash.
Well,
they were just like, what the fuck?
He prefaced it by saying, back when I was like,
he was an addict and like a
back
big piece
when
of
I
shit.
was
He
like
did say
on
that.
drugs and like out of control,
Yeah.
like I had a main event where I sold like over 100% of myself, and everybody knew. And he was like trying to incinerate, and then he was trying to like it was.
He basically said that like early on in the tournament, he had jack high in a 3-bet pot, and he just check called, and check called, and the person just mucked without showing the cards. He was like, fuck, how am I going to win this pot? Like he mucked and like, I just have jack high, and like, it was like, he said it was like an ace king XXX board with like whatever.
But Chino being opportunistic was
Yeah.
like, well, I guess I have a chance for a deep run now.
So-
I mean, my backers are gonna get just less than they bargained for.
So like, and to Chino's credit, he contacted all the people that bought a piece of him, told them, he was like, look, I oversold for this, guys.
I got a big stack.
But I got a big stack and I'm going to win. So you guys need to figure out like what the 10% you bought of me, it might be worth like 8.5% now, but you guys need to work that shit out. I'm going to try to win this event, which is nuts to me. Chino,
Dude, it's just like the most insane thing I've ever heard.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But anyway, our friendship kind of grew after that, and like I don't know, like it's kind of comforting to like have a friend that's like battling with you, like on a lot of the same games. So like we obviously like Art and I don't think there's anyone on this planet that I've played bigger or more big pots against than Art, and I don't know if it's vice versa for him, but like I can't think of anyone else in all honesty.
Yeah, we definitely don't soft play each other.
Nope.
But
No,
I mean,
confirmed. They go after each other. It's fun.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's been a nice friendship, and it's involved over the last
Justin,
15 years.
I'm so sorry.
you like a beer?
Nope.
No, you good?
Actually, I do. But like Stella makes it easy to say no to. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you almost $10,000.
Where there was another Stella.
Bought a
Dude.
six-pack. What?
He
Don't
would've
mind
drank
if
that
I
one.
do. Are
Yeah.
they cold?
Yeah, cold-ish. Oh no, they are good. Protect.
Justin, would you mind opening that up for me, buddy?
Nope.
I don't have a backing deal, so I got to try to get all the 10K I can get.
Yeah. Since then, I don't know. We've traveled together, and then we with a couple of other people, we started a private game. Actually, it started at Aria. We moved to Bellagio, and then kind of forced out, split off to do our own thing at Aria, and just been good buddies for 15 years, 16 years.
Yeah, you said travel together. I was trying to remember the trip you're talking about, but you're not.
Oh shit! I was thinking about Bahamas, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. No, if you're gonna take a trip, you just got to go to like rural Oklahoma, obviously.
That's right.
I've been one and only time.
Yeah,
Only
Justin,
one time.
Justin broke a TV in the hotel room at Choctaw.
I did.
But it wasn't steam induced, believe it or not. He was just kicking off his
Well,
old shoes.
There was steam involved, but like I wasn't trying to break the TV. I was very upset. I think I busted the tournament. I can't remember. Whatever. Just like mad at myself type thing. And I was just wanted to get down on my skivvies and lay in bed or whatever. And I was taking everything off. Got to my shoes. And one shoe just wouldn't come off. And I literally like just kicked my foot as hard as I could, like in between the beds, and just beeline it right to the TV and just spiderweb cracks like everywhere. And I'm like, I was drunk enough. I was like, they may not notice this.
You just give it a little wipe down.
So yeah, I checked out for like a week. I was like, oh, I got away with this. This is amazing. Maybe I was right that they couldn't notice this. And then like I got a bill from Choctaw, or like it was like, you just bought basically a $600 13-inch TV. And I was like, fucking great. That's fair enough.
Fair. Awesome. So you got the podcast, Table 1.Vegas. Also search Table 1 on YouTube. You got the game. Like, what's the grand plan? How do we grow this thing? Where does it go from here?
Sorry, that was the
Business.
That was the talent passing to the pretend talent. Yeah. Growth. I mean, I guess we got to do more podcasts like this. Get on other people's radar. I mean, this is like not even beta testing, but I'm working on a game management app to manage our game, just because our biggest pain point is reaching out just to everybody who we know that's in our network, that's in town, that's out of town, that's local, that's not local. Just always remembering to like follow up with people and just like general customer management, basically CRM for poker. And just kind of, I mean, I'm toying with it. Honestly, I would have no idea how to do any of this. I'm not a coder, but like with the tools that are available now, like Replit is the one that I'm using. It's like a AI coding helper.
Yeah, no code.
Well, there's code, but like you basically
no code for you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have to. There's
always code.
Yeah,
every computer is only talking code, right?
It's definitely not perfect. Like you put in something, and like once you get like a bunch of stuff like how you want it, like there's always a threat that the next thing that you type in is gonna just like be like, oh yeah, no problem, I got that for you, and then it just like deletes like a key thing that like you need for like everything else to work, and then then the new thing works, but not the other
Welcome
thing.
to code.
Yeah, so apparently that's just how it goes, but like I've been
happens to the humans too. Don't worry.
I've been circumnavigating the issue by just like. Whatever it tells me, I'll just copy all the code that it gives me, and I'll just give it to ChatGPT, and I'll say, "Hey, is this right? What should I tell the agent next?" And then it tells me what to say, and I'm just like the middleman, just like going back and forth, trying to build something. And I have like a kind of working thing
Got
right
a prototype,
now.
All right.
Yeah. So honestly, like, I don't know if that's going to go anywhere. Like in the grand scheme of things, it will really just probably help us, which is great. But yeah, just getting ourselves out there. We're in Card Player Magazine. I don't know if you know that. Every issue has a Table 1 section where they take a piece of our podcast stories with whoever. The very first one was Josh Aria. He came on and told a great story about the what's the casino in France?
I can't remember. No,
that's it.
Yeah, the Aviation Club. That's it. Yeah. But yeah, it's a great story, and like it's one of those, just another avenue to get these stories out there. Like, you know, obviously it helps our podcast, but like, I don't know, like a romantic part about poker to me is the gambling stories themselves. It's not the Queen on the River or whatever, the bad beats, the coolers or anything like that. It's, you know, like, unfortunately for Josh, you know, this is about getting robbed in a major casino and having an Uzi pointed near your head. Like that's scary shit. Like,
and then looking over and seeing Phil Ivey under the table with Barry Greenstein while the robbery is happening and saying, "I'm on for doubles next hand." That's a true story.
This is an actual story?
Yeah. It's, I mean,
while an Uzi's pointing at his head?
Well,
they're under the table hiding. Yeah. But yeah, like it's that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, the gambling world, you inherently just get yourself in some spots normal people would never ever, like, you know, see coming. And I think it's kind of the cool part about, like, in the gambling industry, kind of living like you're in the wild, wild west somewhere, and like, you know, like not everything's safe. Obviously, you have the stories that Doyle Brunson like told back in the day, which were truly scary and like way different than, like, you know, like our gambling stories that we deal with today. But it's about getting those stories out there, and I think our podcast does a really good job of that. And like what I'd like to see going forward, like obviously I would like to see it get more popular, but more to just kind of like show some of the stories to the people that the normal people, I guess, out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, like some of our underwatched episodes, we have people that like play in our game or have played in our game or played with us for years that are like gamblers, but they're not known people. They're just like businessmen. Like, I'm sure we're gonna have you on, and like we had Matt on to talk just about Phenom and the crypto aspect of it and just all that. But like just having you on to tell your story and like how you kind of went through life basically, and got to poker and got to business and just all of that is like interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like to do stuff that's cool to me, and then hopefully everybody agrees. You know, like if they don't agree, fuck them. I'm just doing what I want to do. But some of our underwatch episodes, like we have Ron Corey, who's like a Vegas legend in the poker world. Everybody here that's played any kind of high stakes no limit has played with him over the years, and he is an entrepreneur, and he tells his story. He comes from nothing. He comes from he was a Marine to a poker or a blackjack dealer to a craps dealer to a poker player, an entrepreneur. He got into bar owner, car salesman, or car dealership owner, part owner. And his stories are so good, and a lot of his advice kind of echoes what I said about networking and just you never know what's gonna be great for you in the future. Just like be open to everything. And honestly, that episode is one of my favorites, just because he goes through his story, which is, he has a great book, by the way. I'll plug it for free here, Tenacity. You should check it out. It's his story, and it's really good. If you like audibles instead of reading them, he actually got Dean Cain, the Superman guy.
No way.
And Mike Madsen. I think both of them did.
Mike Madsen has a great voice.
Yeah, so that's what he did. He used Michael Madsen, and I think it turned some people off because
who also did a poker show, by the way.
Yeah, I think Michael Madsen turned some people off because he's got that raspy like thing to his voice.
Okay.
So then he was like, all right, well, let's just upgrade. We'll do Dean. Well, not upgrade. Sorry, Mike. Let's get Dean Cain as well. But I think if you've ever, well, I've been to Ron's house, and so has Justin, and he's got Superman memorabilia everywhere anyway.
Yeah.
So he's just like, regardless of how the Madsen stuff performed, I think he just like got the opportunity to sign Dean Cain, and he's like, fuck yeah. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do with all this money? Buy another Rolls Royce? Let's get Dean Cain on the Audible.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So that one I would check out if I was you guys, and honestly, just all the underwatched ones that have a guest. The ones with just me and Justin, we're just practicing. We're not there.
So this might sound like a plug, but I assure you it's not. I actually had nothing to do with you being Phenom as an ambassador. I'd love to know how that came to be. Not just to plug Phenom, but because like sitting here talking with you guys, getting to know you guys are pretty down to earth. Like, how do I put this?
Earth degens.
No. What I mean is like you guys don't come off as like crypto savvy or super into tech or like.
I get it. We're simple. Yeah.
Just say stupid.
The nice way to say simpletons. No, but like Phenom obviously is cutting edge blockchain technology, decentralization, a lot of fairly new concepts, right? I would love to know like what interested you.
Well, first things first, Joe, sitting right over there, he reached out to me. We've known each other for a decade plus, I'm guessing. Like, granted, we never really played a lot of the same games, but we played enough together we were very friendly. So anything he says, I would just say, I'm happy to meet. So basically, we just sat down and met, and he basically pitched Phenom the way that I think any like opportunity should be pitched. It wasn't like
Blockchain good.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, look, this is right after COVID basically as well. And he's like, there's a huge gap out there for specifically Americans, but people across the world not to be able to play online poker like they used to, which personally I'd gone through, like going through COVID.
Yeah,
we did our things to play on GG at the time or whatever. And like, it really wasn't right, I guess. I had a VPN in, which is a little bit scary. You don't want to win too much money and then have to like fly to Tijuana or something like that.
Right. Right.
So like just that in general, and then like he pitched it as it's by poker players, which was like the biggest selling point. It was just like it's being created by people that have been in the trenches and they know what people want as far as software, as far as like customer service, as KYC, like all this stuff that like other companies, they see the bottom line and they don't really care about the players. They want their profit, and if they have to sacrifice whatever percent's acceptable of breakage to lose players, they were fine with that. And he presented it as like, look, it's run by poker players for poker players, and that was a big selling point for me. And then he talked about some of the other ambassadors that you guys had. That most notably for me anyway was Eric Baldwin, who is a good friend of mine. And not only is he a good friend, he's one of the better people I've ever met, period. Not just in the poker industry. Has tons of integrity, character, honesty, everything cross board. And so I basically immediately told him, I was like, let me just talk to Eric. And Eric and I talked for maybe 45 minutes, just talking about questions I didn't know to ask, questions he didn't know to ask, and just kind of like spitball back and forth. And I think at the end of the day, I had maybe an extra like 3 or 4 questions. I contacted Joe. He answered them literally the way I was hoping he would answer them. And it was just that easy. The crypto part of it, in all honesty, it wasn't a selling point for me. Like, yeah. I'm not crypto savvy. I'm not smart. But at the same point, I even told Joe at the time, I was like, I might be the poster child for like, okay, you think you're not savvy when it comes to stuff. You might be a boomer. Like, even this idiot could do it. And like I think I even said it, like, why don't you just make like a 10-minute video of me attempting to get money on and off and like show how easy it is, either paint me in a bad light or say, oh, look how good you're doing, you're a good boy.
I can't breathe.
But like the crypto part was kind of secondary for me. To me, it was just like filling a gap and doing online poker correctly. And like that's what I want and wanted it to be, and that's what I think it's going to turn into, is because like you guys actually care about your customers and like you care about the product and how it's interfacing with your customers, and that's important to me.
Okay, cool. I dig it. Obviously, I've talked to Joe, you know, when your name surfaced, and the only thing I really cared about when it came to the ambassadors was, you know, are they reputable people who care about the community, who actually care, who have an interest beyond just like finding a sponsorship or whatever. And that's how we approached it. You know, like Eric was a no-brainer for me. Mm-hmm. Eric is a guy who's I've never heard anyone say a bad thing about Eric Baldwin all the time I played poker.
Welcome on the Table One podcast.
That's true.
I got bad things to say about him.
Well,
he sometimes gets confused for Art Parmann.
We can
Also something bad.
we can maybe get that. We can maybe
nitpicking a little bit. He did quit drinking like 10 years ago. Good for him.
He's not the best pool boy. I've seen a video of him attempting.
That was me.
Sorry, you're not the best pool boy. All right, it's true. He's great.
No, Eric is great. Eric was on episode 1 of On the Button with Brian Rast. Yep. And Ben hates episode 2. This is episode 3. We hope to have a lot of conversations like this with people in poker who care about poker, want to talk poker. But I really appreciate you guys joining.
Yeah.
This is
God, we didn't even talk about too many other bad hands that I've played. This is great.
We can talk more poker.
No, that's fine.
How are we doing on runtime?
We gotta get out of here.
This could be episode 3 and 4.
Yeah.
trying to figure out what you're about to say.
Joe, we need you to get over here.
Oh well, on the casting couch, as you would.
Get on the casting.
Tell us how you got cast.
Tell me why you have daddy issues right now.
No, it's is he in the shot? Yeah.
Mike.
So this is Joe Weinberger. For those that don't know, he's on the founding team at Phenom Poker, and he's also responsible for affiliate partnerships, a lot of the ambassador signings, managing a lot of the things that are going on, you know, that are going on behind the scenes that, you know, like I get probably more camera time, podcast time and stuff like that, but he's doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So I think it's worth getting him on, and obviously like it makes sense right now because you guys have getting on. Joe Weinberger, everybody.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, no, Justin and I, played near each other at Bellagio for many years back in the day. This is probably early 2010s through COVID, till about COVID time. We always talked before, after games, just really got along. And kind of when we launched the Phenom and trying to find these ambassadors, and we're trying to find people that we knew in the community, like in different parts, tournament players, cash game players. And I reached out to him and Eric Baldwin, actually, one of the 2 first people we reached out to, because we're like, we know them, we have relationships with them, and we think they're going to be great ads. I actually met Justin at Aria before one of the Table 1 games, actually. It was on the 2nd floor of Aria. It was like just shut down. It was a little bizarre, actually. But we sat there, we talked for over an hour, and, within a week he was signed up, because so much, they talked about those, getting those dots, right, collecting those dots. So much of like the poker community, especially here in Vegas, is about opening doors and relationships and networking. And, even though we had played, probably fewer than 20 hands of poker against each other over those years, we developed this relationship. And, so much of, what's successful, especially about the ambassador team and just the Phenom team in general, is like we've all known each other either for a long time through poker or like through one kind of degree of separation from that. So it was a really good conversation, and he's been a great addition to the ambassador team. And one day he'll win something again soon, so we'll see.
Ninth isn't bad. But yeah, it's like,
No, I thought of whatever thousands is pretty
Oh,
good.
you know what?
Pretty
That
good.
that actually brings up before we finish this episode. You had let's
sorry, I was almost feeling good about myself. All right, that's good.
let's bring Justin back down to earth. He's
no. If anything,
No.
this is a good story.
You had a super interesting week.
What is it, like a few weeks ago now, right? Where this was in December. We just got done with WPT being over at the Win. They ran the Prime event, which was like the biggest 1K ever, something along those lines. And then obviously, before that,
On stream playing with Berkey, right?
Well, yeah, there was other people there, but there was, yeah. So yeah, basically, I was approached to do the streaming game 3 days in a row. It was a Squid Game. I won't get too hard into the details, but we were playing 100, 200. But when you add Squid Game on, it basically triples to quadruples the stakes of it at least. So I knowing this or whatever, I kind of went in. I sold what I needed to so I could try to play comfortably or whatever. And
I mean, how deep were you? Just
The-
for
the-
some reference point.
the minimum buy-in was 50K,
Okay.
which is plenty big, obviously, just in general, whatever. But just kind of come to find out, like the Squid Game specifically made it play closer to 500,000 or even like 612 or something like that, to where it is really tough.
That's a big game.
It's a lot of like limping, shoving off 50K stacks. It's a lot of like if you're going to 3-bet, you're like 3-betting to like 8 to 10K. It forces the action. I'll just say. And like I talked to Berkey right before the stream. I was like, I don't have a whole lot of experience playing Squid Game. Like, have you done any like thought process on this? He's like, well, not really. I'm going to embrace variance. And like when Berkey says that, it's scary as shit.
He already embraced
Yeah, already.
Yeah, he
He's
already
not
does it
ready for
anyway.
it.
So he's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna kind of lean into it and just
Yeah.
like take
Just-
all the spots
hey,
I see.
Just get into it, bro. Just get into it.
So yeah, like, he's basically controlling the table for the entire time, which is at least up to this point. And I'm kind of just like carving out like small wins here and there, but like not doing as well as he. I'm up like 20K at this point.
Okay.
And I get the dream spot. I think we're down the Squid Game, whatever. Like you have 10 hands to win as many buttons as you can. And I think there was one hand left and 2 people hadn't won a button yet. Something along that nature.
Okay.
And I just happened to be in between them. One of them was Berkey, the other one was Schwan. And Schwan opened, and I just looked down at aces. And I'm just like, well, this is just...
The dream spot.
Yeah, like I was like, I can't even fuck this up.
Stars align.
Yeah, I was like, I could limp and I'd be fine. I was like, no, let's go ahead and raise. I raise. He 4-bet, and I 5-bet, a third of my stack, essentially, like an old school, like, tournament poker move where you're like, you have fold equity, all that fun stuff. And like, he puts it in, he has 2 10s, and I'm in my head, I'm like, this is amazing. I'm so happy I got
I am so good at poker.
there was no negative thoughts in my head. And usually when that happens, like I just win. I didn't even think about it. I was like, I'm going to win. This is great. He's like, twice. I was like, of course, twice. We can run 10 times. I'll win all 10. It doesn't matter. And just like right away, 10 in the window. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll get half. Who cares? The board runs out. And then like, next flop and bricks. I was like, yeah, okay, it's fine. God, I thought I was going to win it all. And the turn was a 10. And like my emotions just went from 100 to like -10, like immediately. And like I was sad and
Harping on 10.
it's true.
So when you said Berkey's controlling the game, what you meant was Berkey's.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, but like to his point, he was just like 10s is a huge spot in that hand. Like he has a button, he knows I'm gonna try to fuck around on her with like anything I perceive to be above her range, which is literally anything.
Yeah, sure.
So he was trying to take advantage, and if he whatever, all that fun stuff. I lose 140K pot where I have aces versus 10s. We run it twice. I lose both.
Oh my god! So you get stacked that hand.
Yeah, I do. And I'm immediately just like sad, but I was like, okay, like I knew this can play big, so I pull out another 50K, plop it on the table, and end up losing that as well when I back raise the 6 high. And this I don't even think it's that bad of a play, but like whatever. I back ship like 50K or something like that with 6 high and get called by 9s, and I was like, cooler. What are you gonna? It's tough spot.
The classic cooler 6 high versus 9s.
But yeah, the game was just playing so big, so I took a break and I just realized like I don't know if I can play well, so I decided the next morning I felt bad because I committed to these shows and I went in just to tell Brent in person, the person who was helped put together the games, and to tell the people I'm sorry I was going to back out. I was like, sorry guys, I'm not gonna play today.
Enough Squid Game for you.
Yeah, and like I'm walking out of or like the poker room, and like there's the 1K prime going on,
Oh my God! See, I didn't even know this part of the story.
And like I'm just like, I don't want to go home. And like table 1 didn't have a game that day. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna hop in. I'm gonna blow off steam 1K at a time. I might be in for 8 bullets, but it's gonna help me kind of relieve any angst I had from yesterday. And I get in, and like my mindset is like, I'm just gonna fuck on everybody. Like there's no spot that I will not take on the river. And I just started doing it over and over again. I was like, people keep on folding. I don't understand. It's not like I wasn't showing every single time too. I would just show. And
You were just like, show the bluff.
Yeah.
Do it again.
And then like every 4th time I'd have the nuts, and then like they're like, oh, here's all my stack. And like I just had infinite chips after day 1, and I was like, all right, I just got to get back to that mentality. And same thing day 2. I'm just like actively just trying to shit on people. I even like told everyone at the table, every table I was at, I was like, look, if I beat you in a pot, you can ask to see my cards, whether I want to show them or not. And like people were like, surprisingly, they didn't want to show, but like that's how much confidence I had. And I just kept on doing over and over again, taking every river spot, every 3-bet spot, every 4-bet spot. And just like at the end of the day, whatever, like 18-handed, and everyone's playing perfect GTO and smart and laddering up and ICM and all these acronyms. I don't know what they mean. And like I'm literally just 4-betting queen high and like just putting it in.
Oh, don't just breeze past that. there's a beautiful hand on YouTube. You could probably find it where Justin absolutely shits on Patrick.
He's really good, by the way.
He's a very good player, and he just it kind of captures the essence of what he's just saying about how he's like going crazy the entire time. He didn't stop when there was 2 tables left apparently, because he opened the queen 9 off, cut off her button, can't remember. Then Patrick 3-bets out of the small blind, ace 9 off, big blind.
Oh, I saw this hand.
Eventually, he gets back to Justin. He looks up at the clock for about 8 seconds tops, and it looks like he really just knows he's going to be all in no matter what.
Yeah.
How much time would I have?
I mean, what
with aces?
what choice do you have with the queen 9 off?
Yeah, so he sticks it in his eye, and and he just carried that big dick energy into the final table, and then he got his ass cooled off, man. Right when I get there to sweat,
we're all sweating,
dude.
I
know I was
the worst part.
I was there for like 12 seconds.
We're like just got there, and it's like
We pull up. We funny little side story. So you're on the final table, WPT, which is wild, by the way, because for those that might have missed some of that and all the poker degeneracy, he regs the 1K after losing 120,000 on stream, just as like a afterthought fun event. Apparently, somehow final table is this massive 1K, guarantees himself a winning week.
I did, yes.
Which is why you lose $120,000. You're like, okay, like.
Take a while to get this back.
This might take a while.
I sold a little bit.
No, for Justin, it's like it takes a couple days apparently. One 1K tournament is just done deal. But so it's funny. So we're showing up to sweat you obviously because you're a Phenom Poker, rocking the patch on table, big live stream final table. We show up, it's full. A couple guys leave the stands, and we're like, oh, it's our opportunity. So like we get up there, and By
the way, the win. There's not
more
enough
space.
room to sweat our
Yeah,
friends.
get some.
There's like room for 20 people up there.
Dude, you have a huge ballroom. Make a bigger stage. I agree. I agree.
That's fair.
So we're standing up on the chairs in the audience, and a lady in front of me is like, "Oh, those seats were those belong to somebody." I'm like, "That's a snooze you lose situation." And she like flashes me like a complete fuck you stare, and I was like, "Well, she doesn't like me." And like,
then she saw the patch though.
And then I noticed she's sweating Justin, and I was like, oh no. And like 20 seconds later, I realized it's Justin's wife.
Good thing I didn't make it too far in the tournament. You guys would have animosity towards each other.
Yeah, Justin helped us out by just
I wanted to diffuse the situation, so I decided to get it all in with ace high against aces. It was a good ace king suited, but yeah.
It wasn't.
No, every poker player busts in that spot.
No, I know. I'm not one of those spots. I was pissed, but only because I had such a nice opportunity after such a long week, few days or whatever it was, and I was like, not like this. Like if I was gonna lose, I was like, whatever. If I lose like pocket fours to ace king suit, that's fine. Like like I don't mind that.
It would have been better to like just punt the 8-5 suited into like aces or something. That'd have been funner spot.
Yeah, no kidding. Or flop the sweat. But it was a hell of a run, and like honestly, like there is no better feeling in poker to me than running deep in a tournament, and like it just happened to be a 10,000 person field, and that just means first place is like $1.1 million. It's so much money. But no, it was fun. It was cool, like battling and like figuring out how to play against GTO players and like seeing who was actually scared money or But in reality, I was just dancing through the raindrops, in all honesty, and I was just thinking I'm a genius the whole time. That's in reality what happened.
I mean, the players are so studied these days. It's rare to meet players who are efficient in both cash and like MTT format. How do you balance that? Do you play a lot of MTTs?
I used to be obsessed with them, and like I still am to a point. My happiness level is so much higher when I play cash games more consistently. It's like I can lose a few days in a row cash games for a larger number, and like I could be okay. Like I'll be all right. But like if I lose like 10 tournaments in a row, which is not only inevitable, but like it's standard.
Yeah.
Like I'll just self-deprecation, just like, oh God, maybe I'm not doing things right. Maybe it's not like, oh, maybe I ran bad. It's like maybe I'm not good enough to be a poker player anymore. And like those like serious thoughts inhabit your head, and like I bring them home to my wife or like to my friends, and that's just. It kind of hurts relationships. So like I've the last probably 5 years, I treat tournaments as luxuries now, which makes it a lot easier to play. Which is probably the way I've always should have done it. But like when I was a tournament professional for like 4 or 5 years, like basically 2008 to like 2012, 13, that time frame where I was mainly a tournament player.
Was it like you hit a 7-figure score and now you're a professional, or?
Well, it was like you're chasing the drug is what it is.
Yeah.
It's like because the endorphins that are released when you make deep in a tournament, you can't recreate in a cash game. It's impossible. And like, you just get that and you just chase it. And you're like, oh, the next tournament, where's Barcelona? Okay, I'm going there. Chase.
It's like cashing a big parlay ticket versus.
Yeah, correct. I think that's
You
right.
win like
Yeah.
50 cash game sessions in a row.
Yeah, and even then, like.
Time versus one.
It's still kind of expected when you win at cash.
Exactly.
Like, if you
I
feel
just
like
think
you're
like
good
variance is so much higher in tournaments.
Exactly.
That like it tricks you into not recognizing.
Yeah, and like whatever my ROI is in tournaments, it's not accurate. You know what I mean? Like I don't know where I lie on the spectrum of ROI for like tournaments, but I know I haven't realized the expectation yet, whether it's good or bad or like we were close to it, and like that kind of fucks through their head a little bit. So like once we started the table one, especially, I'll still play like 30 to 40 tournaments a year, which is plenty, and like just kind of go into it like I'm probably gonna lose, but if I happen to make it deep, I get to chase that drug again, and I can't wait. And like that's
send me a text, say, hey, I'm playing a tournament. I might make day 2. Then you'll have to fill my seat.
Yeah, which puts extra stress on him and other people. But like to the point though, like no one else was rooting for me more. Like my entire rail was 15 to 20 guys that play our game consistently.
And we had a couple Brits, which means think of a great cheer.
They were.
Point.
And I ruined it. But no, like, I mean,
it by busting.
Like, obviously we're all friends and like, we're all root for each other outside of that. But like, then there's the part of like, if Justin wins $1 million, this game's going to get good.
Not that already, but it's getting real.
Where's the table 1 game? They're playing 200, 400 in there. Like that is table 1.
We're playing this big till Justin runs out.
I love it. Well, I'm considering playing a little bit more tournaments, not because I love tournaments so much. I'm a cash game player, but because to help Phenom name recognition.
Yep.
So I just want to throw out there, Art, I'm available for swaps, but I don't do any backing, unfortunately.
Have to get me on the swap then. Let me know what tournaments you're playing, because very, very good at beginner's luck for other people. So if it's been a while, I think beginner's luck also recharges over time. So maybe the main event this year should be your first tournament.
Lucky for you, 20 years in, I'm still a beginner. So
there we go.